hi there, incredible ladies, and welcome to this Thriver class. This is so exciting. I'm Julia, the creator of Thrivers, and this is when we check into our wealth, where we make sure that we're optimizing and managing our finances to the best we can. And what's really cool is this time we've actually mixed it up a little bit, and we're actually learning how we can create some extra revenues of money, and maybe it'll turn into a full-time gig in the future, which is really exciting. So before we get started, I can see a few newbies here. So welcome to Thrivers. It's so cool to see you here. And also, I just want to say hi to our members because you are our loyal people and I recognize who you are. So thank you for coming to the live session because as you know, if you're a member, you can always access every workshop we've had in the past. But it's extra cool to come to the live session because that's where you get to speak to the experts. So if you aren't familiar with Thrivers, on the website we have inspiring interviews where we interview incredible women who are living out a life of self-success. So if you want an inspiration injection, then check those out. And on the other side, we have these empowering workshops where we partner with experts in wellness, wealth and work for them to impart their knowledge in all these different areas. So today we're focusing on our wealth, and just before I introduce our very cool experts today, I just want to make sure that everyone is familiar with Zoom. Now we have a brilliant platform that allows you to communicate with us and ask all your questions, especially for this workshop. It's going to be really popular, I feel. And so, yeah, so I can check if you're all happy using this. We have the chat on the right side, which means that everyone can see your questions and we're super friendly here. There's no judgment, anything goes. So yes, tell us where you're calling from. How was your day? Mine was pretty good, but it was a bit rainy here in Sydney. I can see we have some people from Somerset in the UK. And we have some people from Sydney. Hi there, we're in Sydney too. And someone from Melbourne, hi. And we even have a couple people from, hi there. I can see someone from Somerset as well. So awesome, okay, I can tell that at least a few of you can use the chat. So there's no excuse for your questions later. So without further ado, I want to introduce our amazing experts, Ted and Jen, who are the founders of Thrifty Nomads, which is a budget travel website to empower everyone to go traveling and not feel like you need to break the bank, which is perfect for our wealth workshop. So welcome, Ted and Jen, to the Thriver class.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
So can you tell us all a little bit about how Thrifty Nomads started and what each of you, what part you play in your business?
Yeah, certainly. So it's actually started out as just a humble kind of typical travel blog when we were just backpacking for 6 months. And it was really just a sort of journal to inform our friends and family back home about what we were doing. And then when we decided to go nomadic again and travel full-time for 2 years, we decided, maybe we can actually monetize this thing and sort of develop a travel blog that's useful to people and has practical tips and tricks. And that sort of evolved into what is now a full-time job for both of us.
It's amazing. Yeah, so it's really inspiring. It just shows that if this is really your thing, then it can happen. And we're going to find out exactly how to do that. Now, I know that you've got a really great jam-packed presentation, so I'm going to let you get started, but I just wanted to remind everyone, if you do have any questions during the session, don't be afraid just to put them up. You can use the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screens. You'll see there's an icon, and that allows you to ask questions just directly to Ted and Jen and myself. So you even have something to put your anonymous. We don't actually say anyone's name. We just want you to feel like you get your questions asked and get as much value out of this session as possible. Okay, so over to you guys.
Cool. Well, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. It's so lovely to have you all here. And as you can see from the beginning of our presentation today, we're going to talk to you about the business of blogging, or how to turn your burning passion into an income. So we'll get started. So what you will learn in today's session is really the basics of how to start an online blog as a profitable business. So we will review the pros, the cons, and the skills that you need to start a profitable blog. We'll review in detail the different business models that you can use to monetize your blog. We'll also review how to set up a web host and URL affordably, and give you guys some of our own expert tips on how to set out yourself from the rest, because there's certainly a lot of competition out there, and how to promote your own work and be seen. So we touched on this a little bit, but I'll just give you guys a quick background on us and how we got started. So my background is actually in nursing. I used to work as a pediatrics nurse in Toronto, Canada, which is where we are originally from. Ted worked as a computer programmer, and 5 years ago, we just decided to sort of quit our jobs, start over, sell all of our things, go backpacking, and as I mentioned, that's where we sort of began this very humble, informal travel blog, which was really just like a journal to let our friends and family know what we were up to. But about a year and a half later, we, after living in Sydney for some time, we decided to sell all of our things again and travel full time once more. But this time we thought, you know, why don't we revive that blog that we started and share some of the practical tips and information that we've acquired over this time. And that's where Thrifty Nomads was born. So after 2 years of lots of blood, sweat, and tears, many tears, one of us was finally able to say we could earn a livable income on this blog. I left my job at Sydney University and began working on the blog full time, which was very exciting. And since 2017, we have both now been working full time on the blog, and we even now have some contracted staff. So if you haven't had a chance to pop on our site, this is just a very quick overview of thriftynomads.com. So this is a budget travel blog. We try to put out very practical and inspiring information to help people actually get off the couch and achieve their travel dreams. We have sort of 3 formats of blog posts that we do. So on the bottom left there, you can see we have these practical, what we call how-to guides, how to book cheap flights, how to find mistake fares, how to book cheap car rentals. These are very practical step-by-step posts that we do. We also have inspirational posts from our own travels, things, you know, recounting the stories of what really pushed us to actually drop our lives in Canada and travel and that sort of thing. And then finally, we have lots of destination guides. These are on cities or countries as a whole, both short and long form posts. So that's sort of our site in a nutshell.
So we'll kick off by saying, why would you start a blog? Well, a traditional business, if you think about that, it's limited by the hours in a day or the number of customers that walk by your shop. Whereas a online business can scale infinitely. So a 1-person blog or a 20-person blog, it doesn't actually matter, and it doesn't correlate to the number of visitors that you might have. So you could have 100 or 1 million views a month, and in turn you could have 100 or 1 million ad impressions, or make $1 or $10,000 a month. It's not directly tied to the number of hours that you put in. So if you do the math, a full-time minimum wage in Sydney is about $3,000 a month roughly. So to get that same $3,000 on a blog, if you have 100,000 visitors a month, that's only 300 people that would need to buy a $10 ebook, for example. That's 0.3% of your visitors. Or if you have 6.5% to 7% of your visitors clicking banner ads on your site with Google AdSense, that would get you the $3,000. Or if you refer $30,000 in affiliate sales, whether that's with hotels and tours and flights, can really add up fast. That 10% commission would also get you $3,000. And the point of these examples is to basically make you understand that you really only need to convince less than 10% of your visitors to click an ad or buy a product. If you think of the number of people that pass by a shop every day, if you have 100,000 people coming by your shop, less than 10% of them need to actually do something that spending money in order to make a living. But of course, we don't want to just make minimum wage. So on the other end of the spectrum, we have Nomadic Matt as an example. So he's one of the first big travel bloggers out there. And he shared a stat that, whoops, sorry about that. He shared a stat that in 2016, I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah,
here we go. We're going the wrong way. All right, sorry. In 2016, he had 1.6 million monthly views. So for comparison, Thrifty Nomads only has 300,000 views per month, and we're already going full time. He has 1.6 million. He sells $400,000 a month just in travel insurance with the widget that you see there on the left. He has a partnership with World Nomads. And under that agreement, you make 10% of every travel insurance sale. But because he sells so much, he actually makes more. He didn't reveal how much, but we know he makes at least $40,000 a month, one guy just selling travel insurance on his site. In addition to that, he has diversified into other affiliate sales. So he's got flights, he's got hotels. He's selling his own independent ebooks now, independent travel guides, kind of like Lonely Planet, and he does courses on travel blogging. So he's got all these different revenue streams, and he's just one guy. He's grown to the point where he has a few virtual assistants now, but for the most part, because he's been in the game for so long, he's been able to just build and build on his content in order to build this massive empire. So it really shows you how far you can go with this. Other reasons you might want to start a blog: there's minimal financial risk. So you don't have any physical store products or investments. You can get set up in one day for under $100. The massive scalability and profit, as we just went over, and that it's fairly passive. So a single blog post or video or ebook can produce income indefinitely as long as you're still getting traffic to those pages. You can be your own boss. You can write what you want, and you can steer the creative direction, which is really empowering compared to working for somebody else. And it's flexible, so you can blog anytime, anywhere, which is exactly what we did for 2 years before the blog became a profitable business. We were traveling around and working on it as we went. Of course, with any business, there are some cons and risks. So you're always connected to social media. This is especially true if you take the route of taking sponsorships, or if you're an influencer. You might have to post on Instagram every day, or Instagram stories, to keep your audience engaged. You're at the mercy of the dreaded algorithms. So falling to number 2 or number 3 on a Google search term can actually be a major income drop. So we had a blog post on how to get a Chinese visa in Hong Kong that ranked very highly before. And before long, some imitators came along, and we hadn't been there in a while, so it was hard for us to keep the information up to date. And we stopped ranking for that. We were making some decent money each month referring hotel bookings on that page to booking.com, and now we make pretty much nothing on that blog. So there is some risk. Facebook and Instagram, they constantly have changes. Anybody who manages a social media page knows that. It's getting harder and harder for you to reach your fans, even the ones that already like and follow you, without paying Facebook and Instagram for ads. And a lot of these changes happened overnight and have destroyed some online businesses. So there's a lot of risk involved in terms of these companies that you're relying on to drive traffic to your site. And of course, it's going to require extended free labor or low earnings for at least 1 to 2 years, but potentially you may never be able to do this full time. There's a lot of failed blogs that start. So you have to be willing to wait it out and realize that you're not going to make money for a while. And you have to be willing to put in that time that you might be getting paid somewhere else, doing a normal job.
So now we'll just quickly go over what is involved in running a blog, and huge hint, it's a lot of things. General writing skills, of course. The main thing of a blog is the writing. That's why viewers are going on your site. So you'll always be authoring new posts and updating old ones. Photography is a skill that you may need to develop depending on what your blog is about. You could get away with using stock photos. There is some basic technical skills required, but I do want to emphasize, don't be daunted by this list. We had a massive learning curve, and a lot of other blogs do. These are skills you can learn over time. Social media marketing, of course. You'll get very familiar with using these platforms to spread the word of your blog. Same goes for online advertising, Facebook and Google ads. We will cover these more in depth later in the presentation. Email marketing is huge, building up a newsletter list and blasting out newsletters to your subscribers. Affiliate marketing, again, we're going to touch a lot more on this shortly. Accounting, of course, the basics of setting up any business involves bookkeeping and the like. Hopefully down the road, you'll get to outsourcing as well, offloading some of your work to other people, but then you get involved with managing other people and deadlines and that sort of thing. Search engine optimization, SEO, you have probably heard lots about this, and we will touch on this more later on, but this is very important with starting a blog. Long story short, there is a lot of things you will be juggling when starting up a blog, and being honest, it's very overwhelming at times. You are constantly juggling a lot of things like this adorable dog, but I do kind of like that you get to be a jack of all trades, and it is very fulfilling, and you surprise yourself with how much you can learn.
So we'll quickly go over how to monetize your blog now. And there's a resources sheet that we've provided that either has been sent or will be sent after the presentation, but it goes much further into depth if you want to kind of pursue any of these monetization methods. There's a lot of really useful links, and you can do that in your own time. So advertising, this is the oldest method of monetization, as old as the internet itself. The idea is you just set up banner ads on your website, and you've seen it a million times. The pros are that it's very easy to set up and maintain. Typically, you just need to sign up with one company. So Google AdSense and Mediavine are two of the most popular ones. And you basically just put in the ad code that they provide you, and they handle everything. They handle payments, they handle the advertisers. You don't do anything other than put in that little snippet of code, and away you go. It's suitable for almost any kind of website because all you need are people and eyeballs on the site. Google's algorithms will show ads to people regardless of what the content of your site is. It'll be remarketing things that they've seen or whatever their interests are. So it's very versatile. And you'll see on the left here, we've got banner ads example from Mediavine on younghouselove.com. So this is a home renovation blog. And there's not a huge amount of opportunity for, affiliate links and sponsorships, but because of banner ads, they can actually add that additional revenue stream and blog about the homes they've been renovating and how they do it. The cons are that you do need high traffic to make money, and too many ads can compromise your site aesthetics. So people are getting more and more sensitive to full screen ads, to video ads, auto-playing video. If you go on CNN today, it's insane, all the things that pop up. So you just have to be mindful of that and not go too crazy and too greedy, and make sure you don't scare away your visitors with too many ads. Affiliate marketing is our bread and butter on Thrifty Nomads. So the idea is you insert links to companies. So for example, Amazon, or in the case of Thrifty Nomads, maybe Booking.com or Expedia. And if somebody clicks on one of those links and actually buys something, you get paid a dollar amount or a percentage of the sale. And that depends on the affiliate agreement for that particular company. So the pros are it's very low risk for the company, and thus less pressure for you in terms of how you want to promote it, because they only have to pay you when you actually generate sales. And this is in contrast to maybe a sponsorship where they want to make sure a lot of visitors are coming, they want a return on investment. In this case, because it's very low risk for them, you are free to promote it however you see fit. And if you are successful in doing that, it's pretty passive. You can set up a blog post and that can generate revenue even years down the road. You can negotiate your earnings over time. So if you're driving a lot of traffic to a particular company, you can go back to them and say, hey, look, just like Nomadic Matt did with the World Nomads Insurance, he went and he upped his rate from the standard 10% to whatever it is, maybe 11 or 12%. You have the ability to do that, and that will obviously make a huge difference and in your income over the long term. The cons are that some programs have minimum traffic requirements. And if you aren't sending sales, some of them will still kick you out of their programs. I don't know why, because it doesn't cost them anything. That's how it is. And you do need, again, traffic to turn a profit. So the resources page that we have has some really great links for this. There's sites that you can sign up for, affiliate networks, where you just sign up once, make an account, and you can just browse all the different affiliate programs and companies. And you'll see a lot of shops that you're familiar with, different categories you can browse by, travel, fashion. So definitely check that out if you're interested in this avenue. On the right, we have an example. This is Monique.com, which is a fashion website. And she's got a page called Shop My Wardrobe. And basically she's listed everything she's ever worn in her blog posts and her Instagram posts. And if you click any of those, she's going to get a percentage of the sale if you buy it. And that's done through Reward Style, which is a fashion affiliate network.
Okay, so next I'm just going to touch on sponsorships. And whether you realize it or not, you've probably seen a lot of sponsorships in your time if you follow any blogs online. The premise of a sponsorship is that a company will either pay in money or goods and services for a mention or a blog post. These are fairly easy to obtain, even if you're a very young blog without a lot of traffic. It's kind of nice. You get freebies. You might get a free book, a free hair product, fashion item, a free hotel stay. So up front, it can seem quite appealing. We have a couple of examples on the left-hand side here of a sponsorship. So we've got Design Love Fest, and in their image there, they have an art project, which is sponsored by West Elm, who have given some paper flowers to be shown. And on the little iPhone screen there, you can see a sponsored post by an influencer on Instagram who's showing an MVMT watch. So this can seem like a really nice way to sort of ease into the market, but there are some definite pitfalls to sponsorships. We've personally never done sponsorships on our blog, which is for the following reasons. Essentially, it can seem really biased to your readers. It can be really hard to convince them that you're providing a genuine, honest review. And you feel that pressure from companies as well to, cut down on any negative feedback that you might have. Sponsorships are often unpaid. This is one of the hottest debated topics in the blogging community. Free hotels and free books are wonderful, but they won't put money into your bank account. So at some point in time, you should consider negotiating actual pay for your work, because there is a lot of effort involved in this. This is one of the least passive options for starting a blog. There's a lot of expectations from companies. You need to provide shout outs on your various social media platforms, blog posts, photography, etc. That's a lot of high value work. So do consider the value of yourself in considering this down the road, and please don't take freebies forever, because it really brings down the pay and the expectations from companies. Another route that you can take to monetize your blog is to sell products or courses or ebooks. And believe it or not, these are actually a lot easier to set up than you may think. So the premise of this, again, just selling an ebook or a course that you've developed yourself on your own website, usually in your area of expertise. This is a really good approach because you'll get a much higher income from this than, say, recommending somebody else's book on Amazon, where you would just get a little percentage of the sale from putting in an Amazon link. If you're selling something that you've made yourself, you're getting much higher earnings. And this is also a fairly passive approach. Once you've put the work into creating a course or an ebook, every visit on the site after that is no effort on your part if people choose to buy it. So it is quite passive in some regards. Of course, it takes time to develop this sort of content. There's marketing involved. Converting sales on your own self-made product can be a lot of work, especially if you don't have much traffic on your site yet. We have a great example on the right-hand side there of a blog that sells her own product. So it's Oh She Glows. This is a recipe blog that eventually blew up. She has a really big following, and she's now a New York Times bestselling author. She has created many of her own recipe books. And so that's a big income stream for her.
So those are the big ones in terms of monetizing your blog. But really the only limit is your imagination. So here's a few just bonus creative ideas. You can charge access to a directory or a community. So on the left here, we have the Crafty Pint, which is a Australian craft beer blog. And they just write about beers, new beers, they review beers. And they monetize by having a brewery directory or also a venue and bottle shop directory, and companies have to pay to be listed in that directory. So that's how they monetize their blog. The second example is called #FemaleFounders, which is interesting because it's a community of female startup founders, and the entire thing runs on Slack. And if you're not familiar with Slack, that's a chat platform that's become really popular in the work world and the startup world. But she didn't have to program anything to make this. She basically just had to set up a web page, put up a payment page, and she takes $30 as a one-time sign-up fee and then manually adds somebody to the Slack group. Slack is free up to a certain size. So that's actually really great, either as a standalone business or to complement your blog. You could do the same thing with a Facebook group and have a community revolving around that. Monthly subscriptions, they're very popular right now with YouTubers, podcasters, but it's starting to grow in the blogging world. So Patreon is one of the top platforms for doing this. You can basically offer different monthly membership tiers to your fans. And depending on how much they pay, you can offer them rewards, which is usually exclusive content. So there's writers of ebooks who are doing this and offering exclusive short stories. Or in this example, this is Brandon Stanton, the founder of Humans of New York, which is that really popular, touching blog where he goes and he interviews different people in New York and you hear their stories. And if you support him on Patreon, you actually get behind the scenes access to how he makes these stories and how he meets these people, which is really interesting. And finally, even if you don't want to make the blog your main business, blogs are really beneficial to other services and products you may have. So just really quickly, on the left, Mickey Chatter, it looks like a travel blog, but actually the monetization is that she is a travel agent. And she makes all these free guides with the intention of getting people to land on her site when they're Googling for Disney World information. And she wants them to book with her. And she makes a lot more money doing that than you would just doing standard affiliate links, because travel agents get higher margins, it's more work. On the right, we have Nudge Accounting, which is a Australian just accounting firm. And they have a massive blog that targets certain Google keywords, such as can I claim meals as a tax deduction, something I was Googling once when I found them. And they set up these blog posts in order to advertise their accounting firm. And it makes you appear like you have authority in that area of expertise. So everything we've talked about, you can do across all these platforms, and you should be using all of these or thinking about using all of these along with your blog. So Instagram is now kind of the place to be sponsored. And, you know, you just give a shout out to the hotel you're staying at if you're a travel blogger or a particular product. You can run ads on YouTube. You can sell your own videos or rent them on Vimeo. There's a yoga instructor that has a yoga course that she sells on there. There's affiliate links on Pinterest. You can put affiliate links in your email marketing. So really think about everything we've talked about and how you can apply your idea and monetize these other platforms as well.
All right. And hopefully we still have you, because now we're getting to the really fun parts. I hope you're not too overwhelmed by the first section. It's just to sort of get the wheels turning about what are the ways I could actually make money on this idea. And you can revisit all of this at any time. So here is how to start a blog in 5 easy steps. So the first thing you want to do is find your niche. And your niche should be something that you're actually excited about. And when you're brainstorming this, the motto that I hope could stay at the forefront of your mind is do it with passion or not at all. I would really recommend avoiding going for something that you think will just be a cash grab. Blogs take a very long time to start turning money, and it will be really hard for you to stick it out if you're not even passionate or excited about the idea. So just ask yourself, what do you love so much that you could write about it for free? Because you will be writing about it for free for a certain amount of time. So you really do need to be excited about it. Definitely stick with your expertise. If you're having trouble thinking about what that may be, just look at the things that you're surrounding yourself with in your day-to-day life. What are you putting into your brain? What are the books on your shelves? What's in your social media feeds? What discussions are you engaging in with people? So the message here is really just choose something that you're knowledgeable about and really, really genuinely excited about. And then finally, I say that you should either aim to do your blog better or aim to do it differently. And what I mean by that is it can be quite daunting when you're starting out a blog, because chances are you know a few existing really big blogs in the area that you're passionate about. Don't let that put you off. Aim to do some things better. You may not actually exceed the growth that they have, but maybe you think, I think I could blog on those topics, but do it a bit more clearly or a bit more succinctly, or I would do videos with those things. That's actually what drove us to start our blog. We knew that Nomadic Matt existed and he was massive, but we kind of felt, there's a gap here. I feel like we could restructure things a bit differently. So just focus on how you can do things better. Finally, so do things differently. In pretty much every topic in the blogging world, there is an oversaturation usually. If you can add any sort of unique spin to your niche, that's wonderful. It's certainly not enough these days just to start a travel blog. Hence, we decided to focus on budget travel because that's what we knew. If you're doing a parenting blog, maybe focus on solo parenting or parenting twins. Anything that can help you stand out a little bit more is great for drawing in traffic. And next, you want to think about choosing a name and brand. And this is a really fun and exciting part of your blogging journey. The one thing I would say here is do not rush on choosing a name. If you decide to change your name down the road, it is such a huge effort, and it can cost you a lot of money depending on where you're at down the road. So don't rush this part. And when you're choosing a name, there's a few things you should think about: longevity. What are your goals down the road? Do you want to have this blog in 5 years' time? If so, maybe you don't want to come up with a name that won't make sense at that time. So for example, if you want to start a blog about becoming a new parent, maybe don't choose a name that's newparent.com.au, because in 3 years' time, you won't be a new parent. You'll be a parent to a toddler, and you'll probably have really great advice to offer around that. You want your name to project the passion and the idea of your blog for a long period of time. Always check how it reads in a URL when you've got your name all smushed up. Does it still read properly? Is it easy for people to understand? Of course, you want to check the availability of your name on a domain registrar like Namecheap, and check if the social media handles are free. And then you want to find your most brutally honest friends and ask them for feedback. What do you think of this name? What is your first impression? That's really valuable to figure out early on, not when you've got thousands of readers coming onto your site. Branding, you want to think a little bit about. You don't need to necessarily go into massive planning with this from the beginning, because you'll kind of find your voice and aesthetic as your blog grows. But you do want to think about a few basic things, like, is this a personal blog? Are you the face of your blog? Do you want your photo and a little about thing on the homepage? Is this a first person, a very personable blog? Or do you prefer something that's a bit more of a professional or a removed vibe, such as the Momavation site on the right-hand side? They're using a sort of language and tone that implies that maybe there's a team behind it. It says, "Welcome to Momavation. We're so glad you're here." That doesn't give me the impression that it's a one-person blog. So again, just think of your tone in your writing as well, like whether you want to be really casual. Will you use swear words and slang and memes, which are all great and fine and can work really well if you have a personal blog. And just thinking about your long-term goals. What do you want your blog to look like in 5 years' time when you're thinking of all that? Last word of caution is please don't sell out. It can be really tempting early on to just paste ads all over your site and take every sponsorship that comes your way. Your readers are a lot more in tune with all of this than you may realize, and it's never worth sacrificing the aesthetic of your brand.
So just really quickly, the technical stuff. For the sake of time, I've put more detailed instructions on that resources worksheet, but essentially it's much easier than you would expect, and you really only need 3 things. You just need a domain name, a web host, and a theme. And you can get your domain name from Namecheap. It's one of the top and cheapest registrars in the world, or you can buy it directly with your web host. So the web host that we recommend is SiteGround. It comes highly recommended amongst bloggers. We're in a lot of groups. It's been recommended for years, and they have excellent support. So that's really great, because even certain things that they're not really responsible for, like maybe helping you set up your theme or fixing a bug on your site, they're often really willing to go above and beyond and help you out with that. So we highly recommend them. The blogging platform you're going to be using is WordPress. It's the world's most popular blogging platform. It's free, and these hosting companies now basically specialize in that type of hosting. So when you sign up with SiteGround, you're going to have WordPress already installed, ready to go, and you can just sign in and start blogging. The last thing you're going to want is a theme. So a professionally designed theme is very important. You don't have to buy one, but if you do, your website's going to look the same as everybody else that didn't want to pay for one. So highly recommend going on ThemeForest, browsing the WordPress themes. It's going to cost between $40 to $60 US, and keep an eye out for high number of sales and positive reviews, because there's still quite a bit of junk that gets in there. So you want to make sure there's not going to be any bugs, and it'll come with instructions on how to get that set up, but usually you just upload it to WordPress, you're ready to go. There's going to be themes specializing in all of the niches that we've talked about. So travel might have more maps, photography might have big photo spots, directories like that Aussie craft beer blog, you could actually set something like that up right away with a directory theme. So there's more details on the worksheet about how to get that set up and essential plugins. So I'll leave that with you.
Ted,
All right.
just got sorry, can I just interrupt? We've just got a couple of questions we could just nail right now. And if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to use the Q&A or the chat. So someone's just said, why would you use WordPress over Wix and Squarespace?
Yep. So yeah, that's one of the things I cut actually to save time, but it's worth actually explaining. So Wix and Squarespace are really good if you want to set up kind of a more standard basic multi-page website, and you can get by with Squarespace. But the thing is, every single resource out there that you're going to read, SEO books, blogging communities, plugins, is pretty much all geared for WordPress because it's free, it has a massive market share, and pretty much anything that you could want to do, there is a plugin to do it for WordPress. So you could get by with Squarespace, but the thing is, if you're going to be actually posting a regular blog with different blog posts on a regular basis, I highly recommend using WordPress, because we've got, for example, plugins that help us with the SEO, the search engine optimization, where as we're typing, it's actually telling us, okay, these are the keywords you want to target. Make sure you include those keywords in a number of headers, a number of alt tags in your images, your body text. There's just so many tools like that that don't exist on Squarespace and Wix. Yeah, so that's why.
Wow. Okay, that's really cool. And one last one. What's your preference? Someone's asking about .com.au and just .com. Which one should you go for?
I think you should think about who you want your audience to be in the long run. Of course, we chose .com. We're just Canadian, so that's sort of, Canadians either use .com.ca, but most commonly .com. Our readership is mostly American. If you're thinking that your readers or your clients are mostly going to be Australian, then, you know, I don't see the harm in doing .com.au, because I think that might be what people type more, but I would squat on all of the different domain endings so that someone doesn't take the same one.
I also think it's another factor in terms of that long-term planning of what you want your blog to be. So if you're really, really sure that you're going to specialize in content for Australians, then I would do the .com.au. But, you know, in our case, we had no idea what the target market would be. When we relaunched our blog, we had less than, you know, we only had a few hundred likes on Facebook and a few hundred hits per month. Mm-hmm. So we had no idea that it was going to end up being primarily American audience. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's kind of good to be open about where your blog might go down the road.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
No worries.
Yeah, okay, so more fun stuff. You've now got all of your themes set up and everything, and now is the time when you get to get blogging. Before you launch or sort of go live and start sharing your blog with your friends, we recommend at least just publish a few key posts that would sort of give someone an idea that the moment they land on your website, what it's about. So, you know, if you've got a vegan blog, maybe some of your few key posts would be, you know, why I became vegan, my 10 favorite vegan recipes, why veganism absolutely changed my life. You want to have a few things that people can sift through to sort of give a vibe of what it is you're trying to put out. Certainly you want to post regularly, and how often you should blog is so ferociously debated in the blogging community. Look, I think that when you're first starting out, a couple of times a week is good. You don't have a lot of content, so you need to get things going, but just do as you're able. Over time, you're going to have more of a repertoire of old posts that you can reshare. So that will sort of ease that sense of urgency to just keep blasting out new content. On that note, the number one thing I want to say on this section is always focus on quality, not quantity. You will feel a lot of that pressure from the blogging communities and what you see other people doing to just blast out posts. But in our experience, it is always better to have a well-written post than 3 or 4 half-assed ones that you're just blasting out throughout the week. It's always worth spending a lot more time editing, reviewing, making a good post that you're proud of, than just, you know, some little short ones that you've farted out. Of course, editing is really important. I see a lot of even big blogs skipping over this. Please don't skip time on editing. It's what makes your post enjoyable to read. I never write a post and then hit publish. I always come back. make revisions, condense where possible. There are so many blog posts that are just run on, and they don't need to be. Another good tip is to use headings within your post. It helps break everything up into little bite-sized bits. You should really work on improving your writing over time. That will just happen naturally as you're blogging. We did include a resource, a book that I recommend to skill up your writing in the resources section. And just reading other blogs and reading lots of books is really good for giving you fresh ideas about narratives and different ways to write. And lastly, now that you have some blog posts up and your blog is live, of course you want to promote it. Word of mouth is a great way to start. So you can tell your friends, you can tell your hairdresser, you can tell the cashier at the grocery store. You can just sort of subtly inject it into conversation without being too preachy. A lot of people when they're starting out will write guest blog posts on other sites so that you're appearing as an author on somebody else's blog, and then that might get eyes and visitors back to your site. You might also want to accept some blog posts from guests on your site. Social media, of course, is huge. There's many different platforms that you can use, but we would say that the most high value one is Pinterest. Whereas Facebook and Instagram, you need to pay to advertise your blog posts, and that has a limited time span of maybe 7 days or however long you decide to run an ad. With Pinterest, it just keeps going and it doesn't cost you anything. So if Ted has published a blog post on how to change a car tire and I've found that useful and I've pinned it, when I've pinned it, my friends are seeing that I've pinned it in their feeds. They might pin it, and it has this trickle down effect, and you haven't even paid for that advertising. Pinterest is a huge source of traffic for us, so I can't emphasize enough that's a really good platform to spend your time on. Do you want to go over SEO?
Yeah. So SEO, if you don't know, it stands for search engine optimization. If you could only focus on one way of promoting your blog, I would say this is it. Google is the #1 driver of traffic for us and many other blogs. And it's basically free traffic. And the idea is that you're optimizing your article to match certain keywords that you want to rank highly on. Now, there's different tools out there, such as KeySearch and SEMrush, that are in the resources sheet that are popular for researching keywords. And they'll give you an estimate on how competitive the keyword is, which sites are currently ranking for it, why they're ranking for it. It's usually because other sites are linking to them that are related on that topic. And it's the other thing about that is that it's much more valuable traffic than traffic that comes from social media. So for example, we have a guide that is Japan itineraries or fun things to do in Japan. If somebody actually does a Google search for that, that means that they're already interested in that topic. Whereas when I make a post to Facebook, well, we're a general travel blog. We write about so many things. There's only a small subset of people that are actually going to care about Japan. So there's an interest already, and that also means that there's also an intent to actually be planning for that trip, to actually buy something, to click an affiliate link or an ad or buy an ebook. That applies to pretty much any kind of blog that you have. So SEO is hugely valuable. And on that topic, Google AdWords, that's the reason why those are so popular as well, because you can be that paid search result at the top and people actually will click that. Targeted advertising is typically what you do on social media, which can still be powerful in other ways depending on your business model. And Facebook ads will basically let you target people based on their age, their gender, where they live, their interests. And Facebook and Google are both listening to everything we do all the time. They're very good at making up a profile about you. So the targeting is really good. Something else you want to consider when doing that is targeting people that like pages that are similar to yours. So for example, because we have our budget travel blog, I might want to target people that already like Nomadic Matt's page, because we know that they have an interest in budget travel. Another thing you might want to do is remarketing, which you can do basically when you install the Facebook pixel on your site. You can advertise to people that you know have been to your site but maybe didn't make a purchase or didn't click a link. Or you can maybe remarket to them because they maybe looked at an article on your site about cheap flights and you want to now tell them another article about flights. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with targeted advertising.
All right, and we'll just wrap up now and hopefully have a little bit of time for questions. So in summary, start a blog because you are genuinely passionate about something. That is what will make sure that it stands the test of time. There's a lot of work involved in blogs, so make sure that you're really excited about your idea. Do try a few different monetization approaches that will diversify your income stream, and some might surprise you with how well they do. Always, always, always focused on quality, not quantity, and just be patient. It takes time. And if anyone has questions, we now have the floor free for that.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. That was so good. I have, loads of questions myself, but I'm going to start off with a few that have come in. So one question, what was this? What are the top WordPress logins that you use personally? What are your best ones?
Yep, so that's on the resources page that is already sent out or being sent out.
Yeah, we'll send that tomorrow, by the way, everyone.
Okay, no worries. I had no idea, so that's why I keep saying that.
Yeah.
But basically, I've put links to all of them there, but basically Yoast SEO is really important because that gives you the real-time analysis of your page, of search engine optimization. WordPress Supercache is really important for speeding up your site. Monster Insights is really good for having Google Analytics installed on your site. Social Warfare, that's a really good one. It lets you easily add share buttons on your pages, and it shows how many times each page has been shared. So if you go to any of your articles, our articles, you'll see on the bottom there's a bar with Facebook, Twitter, all those buttons with numbers beside them. And when people see, oh my goodness, 1,000 people have shared this or 2,000 people have shared this, you get what's called social validation. That makes them like the article more inclined to share the article. So yeah, those are a few of the must-have plugins I would say that apply to pretty much everybody. Okay,
awesome. Before I ask the next question, you guys recommended a brilliant SEO ebook for people to go through that will help them, and it's so important, as you said, to get your SEO organized. So Thrivers are giving away this ebook, which is worth $35 US. The first people that can email me and just give us some feedback on this workshop, we would absolutely love it. I've just put the questions there. If you can just email me when you get some time. And you'll be in the draw to win this SEO the easy way, and that is going to show you how to maximize your traffic, but in a really nice personal way. Okay, so next question we have is, how often do you guys post?
So currently we are using a really handy plugin. It's called SmarterQueue, and we have that listed in our resources. So basically currently I believe we're doing 3 blog posts per week, and then one inspirational quote that pops out on our Facebook page, and then one sort of travel meme that I've generated. So we try to be active on our Facebook platform about 5 days a week, but please keep in mind, this is all done in advance thanks to this plugin called SmarterQueue. So I've gone in ahead of time and put in existing or brand new blog posts. I do think that if you have a Facebook page, I think Facebook's really great, and I would recommend having that as a regular platform that you're using. I do think you should post in there a few times a week. Look, we've had our blog for 5 years now, and there are times where we're away and we're not putting out brand new content every single week, or even for several weeks at a time. But because of Facebook's algorithms, a lot of people haven't seen posts before that we've already published months ago. So you actually kind of have to do this thing where you're sharing old posts. So in short, ideally, when we're not traveling around and going to heaps of weddings and things as we were recently, we try to post at least a couple new posts a month. It really changes over time when your blog gets bigger. And the thing with our blog as well is we write very long form posts. Some of them are almost like ebooks. So for us, there's just a lot more value in posting, like, say, bi-weekly a new post. And we've just got so much old content that's never had eyes on it just because of the way that the algorithms change. And we get a lot of our traffic coming in through Pinterest and Google as well. So that sort of alleviates the demand to put new stuff out every day because people are coming into our site from different ways.
And did you find in the beginning you were writing more regularly, and now because you've built that up, it's...
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, of course. And I mean, even when we're resharing a new post, we might be doing selective targeting for that. And yeah, certainly early on, I mean, I'm believe that I was aiming for 1 to 2 posts a week, but we've always done very long posts that require a lot of editing and that sort of thing. So I quickly gave up on that over time, and that was a good thing. It saved my sanity and kept the quality of the posts up.
Yeah. And again, that's going to depend on what the model is of your business. So because we're so reliant on Google traffic, on affiliate sales, on ad sales, it doesn't hugely matter if there's actually something brand new every single week. Whereas if you're somebody where you are the star of the blog, you're posing in all the pictures, you need to be keeping engaged and letting your fans know what you're doing because you're traveling around. It's going to be a lot more important for you to post regularly.
Yep.
Right. Okay, next question. How do you boost your content to ensure you not only target the right people, but it generates an ROI for your business?
Yeah, so to be totally honest, we're not totally experts on Facebook boosting. That's not as huge an area for us. And it's very hard with the business model of affiliates and ads to really know if you're getting that ROI because the margins on a affiliate sale are so small and clicking ad are so small that it's really hard to say by most metrics if it's worth having that many extra visitors come on your blog after you've boosted a post or run an ad. So what our goal usually is to get a snowball effect rolling, basically. So we want to just kind of get it in front of the right people, and we do that just mostly targeting by interest or remarketing based on pages on our site they've already visited. And we're hoping that they will in turn pin that on Pinterest or share it with their friends so that there becomes a momentum where we don't have to be paying to promote that anymore. And another factor is once it starts getting shared more, and especially on Pinterest, there's actually an integration with Google's algorithms that you'll start to rank more highly on Google as well. So it's really going to depend on your business. If you do have something where there's an absolute amount where you can say, okay, a new visitor is worth this much to me if they spend this much on my ebook or this much on my site, it's a lot easier to do that. And you can actually set up conversion tracking with Facebook pixels, for example. So you can get a real idea of, okay, I'm trying to sell this $10 ebook. I'm paying maybe, I don't know, $1 per click right now or less than that, ideally. For people to actually come through and see my site, you can really do the math easily. But in terms of affiliate and ads, it's a lot harder to determine, and we just kind of hope for the best, to be honest, when it comes to Facebook boosted posts.
Okay, thank you. Next one. Is there a way to check our niche is worth a blog and that it's monetizable?
What was that?
Is there a way to check whether your niche is monetizable? Honestly, I would say there's really no surefire way because you never know how things will take off. And I think a lot of influencers, for example, never imagined that they would be earning a full-time living doing things. I mean, I think that the best thing to do would be to review the monetization strategies that we put out in this presentation and think about how would any of these fit in with my niche. Because beyond that, everything's out of your control. You don't know, how much traffic you'll get. All you can do is really put all of your passion and hard work into it and just hope for the best. But it's definitely, you should go into it with some sort of general idea about what your strategy would be to monetize, I would say.
Yeah. And I think you can look at the trend of the industry as well and be like, okay, how big is this industry anyway that you want to write about? Are people spending a lot of money? Are there websites out there if you want to take the affiliate route where people can pay online and you might be able to get a percentage of that? Are there affiliate programs? It's good to think about things like the banner ads and also affiliate programs like Amazon and eBay, because anything can be sold on Amazon and eBay. So fashion bloggers are using that, tech bloggers are using that. Every kind of blogger is finding a way to make money on those platforms because they're so broad. So yeah, those are some tips.
Yeah.
Great. What do you think about outsourcing content creation?
Oh, look, we have staff writers, but we are so meticulous about who we hire. I think it really depends on your blog and what it's about. and sort of what you're going for. Like for us, we've even paid for articles and we never published them because we just weren't happy with them. And the quality can really vary when you're outsourcing stuff, even if you think you've found a good writer. So just coming back to like always focus on the best quality because people will notice that. I don't think it's a bad idea to hire people. It just depends on your blog. It just depends on the like how it's set up. You know, if you've got like a directory blog, like the beer example that you had there, people could be writing blog posts for you just about this new kind of beer. It doesn't need to be you authoring, you know, oh, here's this new beer trend, here's this new cider thing. That kind of stuff could be easy to outsource. But like, yeah, it really depends on what sort of topic your blog is, I would say.
Another thing I think we've touched briefly on is guest posting is really popular in as a way to promote your blog, or other people are constantly sending us messages asking if they can guest post on our blog, which we've never allowed. We've only ever paid writers because that's just the way we wanted the site to be. But we probably could have been strategic depending on our niche and allowed some guest posts that would have still been high quality. Usually the reason they want to do that is because they want to put some links back to their site, which in turn helps their Google rankings. So guest posting and accepting guest posting is another option. But yeah, again, I think it's just going to depend on your blog and how you want that to look, and if you're finding the right quality in these other writers that you're happy with.
Cool. Someone says that WordPress seems great, but it looks like you need some dev knowledge. Have you had to change much of your template with your own code over time?
Yes. So the thing with me is I actually have, I gave these recommendations based on years of being in the Facebook groups and things like that, based on what I think is kind of the best thing you can do going forward. I have a technical background, so I did customize our theme more, but because I got one that had so many high ratings at the start and was very versatile, I didn't really have to do that for a long time. And I could have actually done a lot of it with plugins, which is the other advantage of using WordPress, because when you use WordPress, you know, you don't always need a plugin, but there's usually a plugin that exists to do whatever you want. If you just want to hide a certain box or put a little, you know, share buttons, for example, with social warfare, you might have to manually do that on a site like Wix or a site like Squarespace. Everything becomes a bit more complicated, but because WordPress is such a massive platform, there's usually a plugin to do what you want. But yes, there is probably going to be some instances where some coding knowledge would have been useful, but it's kind of, yeah, there's pros and cons to both. Like with Squarespace, I feel like you'll hit the ground running really fast with Squarespace, and it'll be really nice. They designed it really well. I know people that love it, but when it comes to actually building up your blog over the long term, I've seen time and time again that people in these Facebook groups are like, oh man, like how do I do this in Squarespace? And it's just crickets. Nobody comments, nobody knows because nobody's using it. There's no blogs, there's no plugins, nobody has any idea. So yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's definitely really useful, especially when SEO is such a powerful way to drive traffic. And like you were saying, I didn't realize actually that WordPress was so clever in helping you out, making sure that you get the right keywords in there. So we probably put in the resource, but which would you say is like a good starter, like Facebook group where would you start with, which group to enter that's not a good starting place?
Yeah, so the authors of that ebook that you're giving away, they run a site called Make Traffic Happen, and it's two women, very fitting for this Thrivers workshop, and they're really awesome. They run a very supportive community where you can ask questions, you can search existing posts because a lot of things have been asked. People are very positive. You can just share your wins and good things going on with your blog. It's a great resource, so I highly recommend joining that. It's called Make Traffic Happen. Another one, do you want to talk about the like-minded?
Oh yeah, there's another really great Facebook group. It's called Like-Minded Bitches Drinking Wine. They have a group and a page. That's a very active Australian-based group, but it's still open to anyone around the world. Just female entrepreneurs, a lot of online businesses and blogs in there. People are very active. You know, if you want to post your site and say, look, I finally launched my blog. Can anyone give me feedback? People will jump in. You'll have graphic designers coming in saying, look, you know, your logo is not that great. I think it could use more of this and that. You get some really honest feedback. It's a very, very active page. It's not just blogs in that group though, but it is a really great female entrepreneurial group. I think we listed that in the resources too.
Yep.
Yeah. As well.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I'm going to send this out with the video tomorrow. The guys have put together a brilliant list of resources. It's like 3 pages long, and yeah, it's really, really cool. Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us today. That was really brilliant and insightful. I'm sure I can find a few bloggers creating their masterpieces in no time. And yeah, we'd love to know, actually. Reach out to us if you do start your blog, and yeah, especially we'd be happy to share it on Thrivers, so that'd be really cool. And yeah, again, if you can also give us some feedback, we're going to give out that SEO book, and I know you guys have also put in the link to those girls to help you get set up with your SEO. That'd be awesome. And then, so next week we have partnered with the About My Brain Institute. And if you don't know or you aren't familiar with them, they actually analyze your brain to understand how you can be your best leader at work and how you can basically utilize your potential. So we've got a practitioner from the About My Brain who's going to be joining us to tell us all about how we can be our best personal leader and also identify our strengths within us. And so it's going to be really cool. So if you want to join us for that, that's the same time next week. And also know that Thrivers do have a membership. And if you're new to the membership, you do get your first month free, which is awesome. Anyway, thank you again, Ted and Jen, for joining us. That was so good.
Thank you for having us. It was a blast.
No worries.
And keep thriving and believing in yourselves, and we'll hopefully see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.